playing golf in the elements is something which all golfers need to learn to do, but 99% of golfers struggle to do. Hi everyone, my name's James and welcome back to Get Good at Golf. On this channel we try and help you get good at golf just one day at a time. In today's video, it's 40-mile-an-hour winds. We're going to teach you how to play better golf in the wind, how to lower those scores in the wind, and how to get good at golf in the wind. So we're going to kick things off with the driver. Now, one of the big things that so many people say with driver is tee it low in the wind. You'll see I've teed that low, it's down in the middle of the club. Now that's actually an incorrect thing to do. The reason for that is if we tee it low, we're more likely to hit down on the ball, we're more likely to get it out the bottom of the face, and that's going to put more spin on it and make the ball launch higher, in effect doing everything that you don't want to do when hitting driver into the wind. So I'm going to tee it at my normal height. I'm not exactly going to tee it higher, but just a nice normal height for me so that half that ball is over the equator of the driver. I'm not going to go full beans at it, I'm not going to go gung-ho at it. When it's breezy, swing it easy. That is probably correct, even though it is very much overused. But I'm going to try and hit up on the ball. I'm trying to get a low spin drive away, and I'm obviously thinking about which direction the wind is coming from. So I'll put a bit of grass there. The wind is going that way, but it's into as well. Now, a lot of people think when you hit driver and it's windy, if you are downwind, get that ball as high as you can because it's going to travel further. Now, if it's a very, very windy day like it is today, these are gusts of up to 45, 50 miles an hour. If it's downwind and your ball, first of all, why are you playing golf in this wind? But anyway, if it's downwind and your ball catches a gust, it'll actually knock it out of the air if it's too high. So you still want to remain a nice kind of mid-flight no matter what wind is, but try and swing it nice and easy, hit up on the ball. I'm going to use that wind off the right, so you should see this ball draw in the air. And that is exactly what I wanted to do. Nice easy swing, that ball's just down the middle of the fairway. I'm not trying to think about playing golf in normal conditions. You have to think of the elements, you have to embrace the elements, and you have to just tweak a few things to help you get good at golf by playing in the wind. Let's get down there, let's see some iron shots, then Chris is going to talk you through all things on and around the green, because that is where so many golfers lose shots when it's a little bit breezy like it is today. So strike location there on my drive, you can really hear this wind now. It was a little bit high toe, which is generally the lowest spinning point of contact on the face, which is perfect. That's why I don't tee it low. If that was a low toe, if it was a low heel, then it would have spun a little bit more, it would have gone higher in the air, probably cost us 30 or 40 yards, and probably have gone further left into the rough, which is what you don't want. Well, that drive's that good, it's a little bit close as to what we want to tell you, so I'll drop one here at 150 yards. Now the big thing here, guys, 150 yards for me is usually an 8 iron. That's my stock yardage. The flag is in the middle, so it's playing 150 yards. I'm going to move up to a 6 iron. It is extremely windy today. It's definitely a 1 club wind, but I'm going to go one more up because the key for me here is I want to keep that ball flight down. I'm almost going to play a little bit of a stinger, so I'm going to put the ball just back of the stance, or middle, because the 6 iron will be a little bit further forward. I'm going to have a nice narrow stance. I'm not really going to grip down the club because I don't need to. I still want that speed from the shaft, and I'm going to aim just a little bit right, but a nice half swing. So this will look like I'm almost pitching the ball. I'm playing a pitch shot from 150 yards. That helps me stay in control of the shot. It helps me think, just as I say that wind's died down a little bit, hasn't it? These are things you have to think about, guys. Just because it's been windy all day, you might find a kind of gap. Step away from it, have a second, think, right, could I hit a normal one? And then the leaves are starting to move again. So for me, that just says, right, the wind is definitely still there. But make sure you do think about that.
And again, the narrow stance there, guys, is going to be taking the speed out. If you try and stand a little bit narrower, you'll see you can't put as much speed into it, and that's what we want. Less speed, launch it lower.
Look at that.
And that then starts perfectly on line. Very much a chippy 6 iron, straight onto the left side of the green.
Left side. So, and you look here, Chris, so my divot here, it's not a deep gouging divot. I'm not trying to really gouge down on it. If we did that, then the ball would, again, it'd pop up in the air, it would spin up in the air. A steep angle of attack is going to impart more spin on the ball, whereas nice and shallow, but with forward shaft lean and not too much speed, I get the lower launch, but it also comes out a little bit lower spinning, which is what Tiger Woods is famous for with the infamous stinger. I forgot what it was.
So guys, when we're playing short game in the wind, obviously we've got to think about if we're into the wind, it normally plays a little bit easier. So we've got the wind, we can be a little bit more positive, it's slowing the ball down so we can be a little bit more aggressive with these shots. Down the wind, a little bit harder, so we've got to think there about trajectory, we've got to think about our setup, and we've got to think about what we need to do to get a consistent flight and strike. But the same here, so a lot of times at setup we see people not have enough weight on the left. They set up very neutral, it's all 50-50, a little bit of breeze into, we fall back and we catch in the ground nice and early. Back here we're drop kicking the ball or we're thinning it straight over. So we've got to make sure on here we've picked the trajectory we want. I'm going to go mid-flight here, but my weight is still predominantly on my left hand side, even more so into that breeze as all the leaves hit James. That was fantastic. Shame we didn't get that. So weight is left. I've now set up to make sure I make a nice solid motion. It stays on my left. I'm going to finish on my left, a nice easy motion. And you see there, it can be nice and positive, but in my finish all my weight is on the left. You'll see my right heel has come up.
Cracking shoes.
Pretty much lift that foot up because there is no real weight on there, and the club is out in front of me with loft on. You saw I got a nice mid trajectory there. I got it starting on line and was pretty consistent with our flight, with our spin. Let's now talk about downwind. What have we got to do? What have we got to do to our trajectory, and how are we going to alter that and change our setup? So a lot of the time down the wind, people will instantly go think, right, I've got to get this ball nice and high, I've got to do a James Robinson flop, I've got to get this open, I've got to get my stance nice and wide, hands low, and I've got to give this the big swing, and I've got to play that shot there.
What a shot.
Worked nicely on that occasion, but you see it didn't run out. I didn't have control on, right, soft greens here. In the summer it might be firm greens. We just don't know how it's going to land and roll out. What we can do here is, if I give myself a reasonable lie, is same, get my stance nice and narrow, weight left, but we're going to actually play a low trajectory here. Just because we're downwind doesn't mean we have to go high and use landing angle. I can get the ball position back in my stance, weight left, treat it like a putting motion, and you'll see there I've got more control on how I can release that ball. I can let that ball release the target, and I'm not then being afraid, oh, the wind's, it's downwind, it's a very hard shot, I've got to play it high, I've got to put a lot of swing on there. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. Now, let's jump on the putting green with the putter and talk about the one thing we can change when putting in strong winds that's going to help you with your strike. So, on the putting green now, in high winds, we're going to have the wind behind us here, so it's pushing us towards the camera. And one thing we can do to make ourselves a little bit stronger is get this stance ever so slightly wider. So we're not going to go too wide and feel like we're here, because what I start to see from here is people will start to shift off there, catch the ground on the way through, take a little bit of a divot out of the putting green, and we've got no strike and no control. So if your normal stance is here, we're going to go a little bit wider with both, but the main thing I want you to do, guys, is feel like your legs are pushing outwards. So your knees are pushing out. That's going to really activate your glutes, as people would say. James would say his backside. But we're pushing those legs out. We're nice and strong there now, and we're going to be able to just use our upper body to turn. So we're able to rotate. You see my legs are the strong point in this. I'm a little bit wider, legs are pushing out, and then from here I can make a nice solid strike.
Feeling the burn on the glutes.
It is actually feeling the burn.
So's Mr. Anatomy, by the way.
So, well, what can I say?
A-level in sports studies, me.
Back in the day, only about 20 years ago. Right, legs pushing out, take two. Let's see if we can get a little bit longer swing.
Good rolls, very good rolls.
They're nice and consistent. So from this range, around about 25 feet, again, we're just trying to get out of here with a two putt. A lot of times I see people get too wide with this stance or too narrow, and especially in the wind, you get blown out of position. We hit it off the heel, we hit it off the strike, we catch it fat, we don't get the ball there, we add a three putt, and we're not getting good at golf.